Okay, 5, 4. This is KCYP 97.7 FMLP The City, and this is DJ Destiny here on RGV Rocks. KCYP 97.7 FMLP The City is a nonprofit organization that promotes local artists such as myself and is the home of indie music. We are now accepting donations through our website, www.thecity977.com, as well as sponsorships to keep this radio station thriving. For more information on paying donations, sponsorships, or business advertisement, feel free to contact Joe Martinez at 956-789-0702 or by email at martinezjoe@hotmail.com. I will also be leaving the donation links below in the descriptions for Cine and as well as the city. For people that don't know who, we are as a radio show. RGV Rocks is a radio show and now an online podcast dedicated to all the local talent events and all the wonderful people in the Valley. So without further ado, this is Lamar Jones. Lamar, do you want to introduce yourself for people who don't know who you are?
Hello. My name is Lamar Jones. I am the innovator of the Jank Gourmet BBQ Sauce, also a children's book published author, self-published author, The Adventures of Sir Jankster, father, entrepreneur, and just a student in life.
All right. So I want to first thank you for being here on this interview today because like I said, it's been a while and we've been trying to get you on the show even pre-COVID. So
Yeah,
it's really an honor to have you here.
well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I'm just listening to you give the intro, man, and you come a long way from the shy young lady I met, some years back.
Yeah.
It's actually awesome to see you come out of that shell, man, and I'm proud. I love to see that.
Thank you. I'm actually trying. And I've had the show on for like about I think this is the second year.
Okay,
So yeah.
so uh,
Actually, before we start this interview, quick thing, what's on your mind? How have you been? What are you doing right now?
life is good. No complaints on this side. Just taking it easy. Socially distancing as much as possible. To be honest with you, I hadn't done a whole lot since the pandemic as far as kind of going out and doing demos or events. A lot of that kind of went away for me because just wanting to do the social distancing and things like that. So I haven't really done a whole lot on that end. But overall, things have been good, man. Family's good. Business is continuing to move in the right direction. I really can't complain on this side.
All right. So without further ado, let's start this interview. What we like to ask our interviewees, it's a basic question we like to always ask, but what do you like about the Rio Grande Valley? It could be like food, it could be people, it could be like about location, anything.
Okay. Well, me personally, as far as what I like about the valley, one of the things that really attracted me here, more specifically Western Cove, when I moved here and visited here, was the hometown feel. People were genuinely friendly when I came down here, and I had that same experience throughout the valley. Over the years, I've fostered some amazing friendships and partnerships with people all over the valley. And it's just been a really great opportunity to grow and build. And I love the sense of community that I've experienced here in the valley.
It's great. And I feel that because of like the community, especially like since now the pandemic has all made us go online, a lot of people are feeling more united now than ever, especially within the valley. And I've
Definitely,
seen so many events come out and then also a lot of shops come together as well.
definitely. Yeah, and it's just again, you miss being there. You really don't understand how important it is until you no longer are able to kind of do it and be around people and with the events and just socializing, being able to get out, being able to give people hugs. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I'm a hugger. You know what I mean? So you miss being able to do that type of stuff, and that I think that's what it kind of boils down to as far as people like really missing the interactions and things like that and being around your family.
Especially now, I want to talk about the jank first. So, how did you come up with the idea? I know it was inspired by HB Primo Picks, that whole contest, right?
Well, it wasn't necessarily inspired by HEB. I had been making this long before HEB Primo Pick contest came around. So it was about 2008, 2000, well, 2009, 2010 when I actually started making the product. Um, and then it wasn't until about 2012 where I incorporated, the actual business. But as far as coming up with it, it was out of necessity. When I moved here to the Valley from South Florida, Hollywood, where I moved here from, it was South Florida is a melting pot of I guess ethnic foods and things of that nature. So pretty much anything that you can think of that you want to eat is kind of at your fingertips in South Florida. But then you move to South Texas, and South Texas for me, it was a new landscape, but it was a great Mexican restaurant and Whataburger. Like that was my go-to. Like that, that's what I did a lot of when I first got here. So just wanting to do something a little different, get some flavors that reminded me of home is why I started messing around with the barbecue sauce. And it was literally just grabbing something off the shelf, taking it home, doctoring it up, and making it my own. And that's how the idea, came about.
Hmm.
But it really wasn't until people start tasting it, friends and family, and say, hey, what are you doing with this stuff? Then I actually start thinking about, what if is it even possible to start a business from this thing? And that's where the idea came about.
So, how did you hear about like HEB contest and things like that?
Going back to the networking that I was able to do once I got here on this side. I want to say it may have been through the either through the SBA in Edinburgh or the McAllen Chamber of Commerce. Might have been. I'm not exactly sure exactly where I heard about the contest the first time, but it was through some networking and somebody brought it up to me, mentioned it to me, and I was like, hey, it's worth a shot. What's the worst that could happen? I actually entered the first year and didn't get a call back or anything. It wasn't until the second year that I entered the contest that I was actually able to get into the contest.
Wow. And then how did you come up with like the actual name, the jank, or like the slogan, be janktified?
You gotta say it like you mean it, Destiny. The jank. Uh, so the jank man, me and a really good friend of mine, his name is Cameron Dave, who's also he's a South Florida representative for the jank. But he and I use that term, the jank, whenever we were trying to describe something that was just so amazing, so awesome. You just really didn't have a word to describe it. It was the jank. So when I made the sauce, first few times I made it, and I was making my mind of okay, I'm gonna actually start selling this stuff. I sent some to him, and he's one of those friends that you need in your corner as far as having somebody that's gonna really um, keep you in line. They're gonna tell you the truth no matter what, and they're gonna keep you honest. So I sent him the product knowing that he was gonna try it. He was gonna tell me whether it was good or not.
Hmm.
So I sent it to him, and he was like, "Man, you got yourself something." That was kind of his reaction, and he's real picky. And then another person that I tried it out on initially was Sean.
Oh,
He,
yeah.
he is too. So that's my brother from another mother. He's actually a lot of responsible for me ending up here in the valley. But he tried it, for the first time. Another picky eater, so it was like if he likes it, and I can get some feedback from him, and he likes it, then it's going to be I like where I'm going. Um, his first experience with it was on chicken, something that we had cooked. I think we were still living in the apartment together at the time, and he tried it for the first time, and I can remember him eating the chicken, and for a second it was really silent. He wasn't saying nothing, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder what he thinks. But then all of a sudden, out of the silence, you hear "ow," and I'm like, what happened? What happened, dude? And he was like, man, I chipped my tooth. So he literally bit the fork really going in on the chicken and the sauce. And again, that was just one of those moments where it was like, okay, all right, I know you was just doing it for yourself, man, but people seem to really like this stuff, man. So maybe we got a shot. Maybe we actually have something.
What's it called? I was talking about the jank, and also like its various forms. You have the original, you have the spicy, the habanero, and also the diabetic friendly. How did you get
Okay,
into those kinds of ideas, like especially with the diabetic friendly one?
awesome, great question. So to be honest with you, the flavors kind of came about from listening to what the customers were telling. When I first started, my idea was I wanted to make something that everybody could enjoy. So I understand that everybody is not able to do spicy products. Everybody can't eat spice. So I wanted something that was kind of I guess universal across the board. So I started with the original. Now, after getting some feedback, I said, okay, you got anything spicy? The spicy flavor happened. And then again, more feedback from doing farmers markets and things of that nature. It was, do you have anything spicier? So then the habanero came about. Throughout the entire time, I would always get a few people here and there that said, hey man, do you have anything without sugar? And of course, no, I didn't have anything without sugar, and I hadn't heard it enough to be honest to think about even really doing anything without sugar. Because for me, it was I just want something that's good. I just want to eat it, and that's it. But the diabetic friendly thing came about with no sugar because my mom's diabetic, my grandmother's diabetic, and we all know here in the valley, we have a very high, obesity rate, and that's also something very prevalent down in this area. But across the board, I guess the consensus was if it's good for you, then it doesn't taste good. So after considering what people told me, or asked about not having one that didn't have sugar in it, my goal then was okay. There's definitely a market for it. So how do I go about creating this sauce that not only meets that demand and that people are asking for, but it has to taste good. I didn't want to put a diabetic friendly sauce out that didn't taste good, that kind of, scared you away because it's diabetic friendly. So I named it the goodness, to kind of get rid of that, right away. So at the bare minimum, you see goodness, you're gonna want to try it out. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't put it out until I was happy with it, until it was something that I eat and would enjoy. And to be honest with you, it's actually out of the whole line of products, to be honest, it's become one of my favorites. And I'm using monk fruit, pure monk fruit extract as a sweetener, which has its own distinct flavor, but it gives it a slight sweetness to it. Completely different flavor profile from the jank, but it is really good. And I've got some really good feedback from the customers and things like that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to try that one actually, like for a while, and then also the habanero because I have tried the original and I have tried the spicy. My mom is in love with the spicy one. She's like, "We gotta get some of that jank like sometime from now." I was like, "Yes, we need some." But actually, talking about the branding and marketing, you've also starred in a lot of commercials, especially ones for HEB. But you also have the newer ones that came out that are animated based.
Okay.
What was the whole process with that, and how did you come about with like having animated commercials?
Oh man, so great question. The animated commercials really came about because I have a lot of ideas on commercials. Like I have a lot of ideas, but in order to do these ideas in these commercials, it requires me to have, well, at least to do it on the level that I would like to do it, requires me to have film crew. I have to hire people. I have to do all of this. But if I can script a animation, nobody has to be there. I just need likenesses of people and to create the characters. And because there's no with the ones that I've done for the most part, there really isn't any dialogue per se in the commercials. It's easier to manage, uh, save some time, and probably saves a little bit of money too. So it was really how do I get these commercials and ideas out and not have to have a bunch of people in one place trying to film this thing. And that's kind of where the animators, and the other thing was it would be something that would be a key differentiator in the market. Like I didn't see other barbecue sauce businesses doing that type of commercial ad or promotion. So it was one of those things where I felt like it would be something that would be pretty cool, and it would also kind of set the Jank apart from some of these other sauces in the market.
That makes sense because I mean, like, yeah, as you mentioned before, I haven't seen any other commercials as far as like barbecue sauces go, and even then, it's more like I've seen HEB do those commercials, and it's
Uh-huh.
not like their own branding and things like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what's it called? Going back to the farmers market, you've been there a lot, and I've seen you do what's it called? I guess like cooking shows and things like that. Have you ever had any like problems, or has anybody tried to get more samples from you, or how was your experiences in the farmers market as well as the HEB cooking shows?
Well, it's never, it's I've have yet to have a bad experience doing demos. When people come back for second and third samples and things of that nature, that's a great sign. So my response and stuff like that is always, man, because they'll come back and they'll say, hey, hey, can I have another one of those? And I'm like, man, of course you can have another one, because for me it's like I get upset when you don't come back. Now you're offending me, when you don't come back. So if you're coming back for more, that is so welcome, man, and that probably on of the highest of compliments, to have somebody come back and want more of what you put your heart and your soul into. So I welcome those moments. I miss those moments because I haven't been able to do a whole lot of that since the pandemic. So looking forward to getting back to that. And yeah, I never, that's never a bad situation.
Mm-hmm. Now going off because like what's it called? I know you're known for the jank, but you're also known for as well as your music because you have made your own music as part of your commercials, and you do have your own album.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So I want to talk about that. It's called 1981. What was your whole idea of making an album in the first place, or what was this what was your inspiration behind this specific album?
okay. Well, this album is actually 1981 is actually about I want to say my fifth album. So this album, 1981, is the year that I was born. Uh, but the whole process behind it was I had started learning how to play the guitar, maybe 2 years or so prior to releasing this album. So that album is the first album where I actually was a part of the production, where I, composed, some of the music and things like that. And I also played, some guitar on track or two, or some of the drums. Like I actually was a part of the production on this album. So 1981 for me, at the time I put the album out, was also representative of things coming full circle. Again, I've always wanted to produce and be that involved in an album as opposed to just writing to the tracks that I had been provided by for with different producers. So this album was very, very, very special to me in that regard, because again I was a lot more involved in the album itself, even down to the album artwork. You know what I mean? Like that picture, there was actually just a phone picture,
Oh,
that I took.
really?
Yeah, so I took that picture. I was on the flight to Houston, and I just snapped a quick picture, and after going back through it, I was like, man, this would be a pretty dope album cover. So I want to say Sean probably did some things to it in Photoshop for me and just kind of cleaned it up. But it was just a process, and very proud of that work on that stage, because I put a lot into it. It took me a couple years to actually put it together, so there was no rush, which was actually the beautiful part of it. Like there wasn't a rush. I was just creating. There was no um, specific direction I wanted to go. It was just, hey, this is life. This is what's happening right now. This is what I want to record. So everything that you hear on that album, does definitely tell a story. If you listen to what's going on in the album, you had a pretty good representation of what might have been, what might not have been going on in my life at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about more about like your music or per se. How did you get into music? Was it through like your whole life, or was it a specific point in time where you got into it?
You know what? Music for me, I started singing in the church choir when I was about 9 years old. So I grew up singing, in the church is what, where I spent a lot of time singing. And then it wasn't until I got into high school and I did my first talent show, out anything outside of church singing. My first talent show, I might have been about 16. And just a response from the crowd, crowd of my peers, was crazy, and that was a feeling that was like, wow, okay, people actually, like what I'm doing. So I think I was 17 when I made my mind up that like music was gonna be my thing. Like that was it. Like I don't care what else I had to do, but like music was gonna be one of those things that I did. Period. So a lot of the decisions that I made moving forward from the age of 17 up until even now, up until the point where I moved here to the Valley, had everything to do with how is this going to help me further my music career. And that was the approach that I took. That was the mindset I had. Like music was going to be my thing. Whatever I needed to do that, is what I was going to do. Quitting the job because it wasn't giving me enough time to really focus on my music, and get that thing going. So, there's been a lot of situations where I made life decisions based on, am I going to be able to really pursue this music thing? And so far, that turned out to be a really good decision, because music has opened up a lot of doors for me, a lot of opportunities. It's allowed me to do a lot of traveling, things of that nature. So it's paid off. It's definitely paid off, and I'm glad I made that decision at 17 to really pursue the thing for wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Speaking about opportunities and how you got to like perform and things like that, because you have performed at Cine before. Uh, how did it come about when you were asked to do the MLK event for this year?
How did it come about?
Yes.
Uh, I want to say, just speaking to Miss Levy, I did it the first year, and every year since then, I've always wanted to be a part of it. So it's just a matter of, this is one of those events where you just want to be a part of it. Cine El Rey has been so supportive of things that I've done and that we've done over the years. Like it, not only is it, right to make sure that I support what CineElRey does, but going beyond that, it's just a great event. It's about unity. It's about bringing people together. It's about sparking change, which is, what we're all about. Being a little innovative on ideas, and trying to make this world a better place than it was when we got here. So who doesn't want to be a part of something great like that? You know what I mean?
And that's why we're trying to save like Cena, even up to now. There is something coming on along the way soon, so I will announce that when it's ready. But actually going about change and things like that, especially how you were talking about Sean, you came out with a new book.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sir Jankster. Um, and I wanted to talk about it actually. How did that come about? Was it inspired by how Sean did his like Be Still Little Tree books?
Definitely, me and him are kind of tied together at the hip, man. We do a lot of stuff, and together in general. But I had already been working on the book, but it wasn't a children's book.
Mm.
I've gotten into a habit of kind of writing down milestones that I hit, along the way, and just ideas, and putting this thing together, because I was in the mindset of one day doing some type of documentary, or writing some type of biography, or doing something like that. And then, he actually definitely encouraged me. He was like, man, you need to do this children's book. So I basically took, some of that stuff that I was already writing about, And because the book is my life, it really wasn't hard to write. You know what I mean? It was just a matter of putting it down on paper and turning them into a song. You know, because I have the song which is actually on that 1981 album, but um, turning it into a song and making it something fun that the kids would enjoy, but at the same time, adults could enjoy the story in itself. And it was just, like I say, in the form of a song or a poem. And, I wrapped it again, just trying to do something different from what everybody else is doing. And that was just one of those things. And it flowed pretty easily. And it was fun putting together because, again, it was just my life. So being able to share that journey with readers and kids and young adults alike, man, it's just a cool experience all the way around.
Okay. And as far as the response, how did you take it, or how did people take that you just initially just published a book?
Yeah. Well, the premise of the book, there's an acronym that says either you do it or you do it. I'm actually wearing uh, the wristband. I rarely take this thing off, eventually Sir Jankster. But EDOD is an acronym and it just stands for either you do it or you do it. You know what I mean? So like we can sit around, we have these ideas. Many times we come up with ideas and we either talk ourselves out of it or we just don't see how we're going to get it done. And we choose not to do certain things. But when you say EDOD, it's like, okay, either you do it or you do it. Like what other choice do you have? I'm thinking about doing it. EDOD, you really don't give yourself a chance to quit. So quitting is not an option in that. It's just one of those things that I definitely apply to the book and to anything that I've done. Up until this point, it was just a matter of taking action, having the ideas, taking action, and more importantly, kind of surrounding yourself with like-minded people or individuals that want to see you win and that encourage you to do these things as well.
And going on that ideology, have you felt like you struggled in any part of your time because of these kinds of things, and you wanted to like inspire other people to do so?
Oh, it's always a struggle. Anything very cliche, but anything worth having is not going to be easy because you're going to hit obstacles in the road. Things are going to happen. Life is going to happen regardless. Nobody could have predicted 2020. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But we're here in 2021. Definitely, paying homage to those that didn't make it and those families that lost loved ones and being respectful of that. But we're here, and which kind of really drives home how important it is to live life, to go after those things that we want to accomplish in life, and just really get them done. Because at the end of the day, you got one life. We have one life to live, and when that one's gone, it's gone. So why not make the most of it? Why not help as many people as you can along the way? But there's always going to be bumps in the road, and if anybody tells you that they haven't experienced any hardships along the way, uh, it's not possible because life happens. And the thing is, it's what you do when those things happen. How do you move forward from those? Because you can't change, what's happened. You can't change, life events and things of that nature. But what you can do and what you can control is how you choose to deal with it. How do you move forward? And that's been one of the things that's really helped me get through um, when you talk about things happening. So you're gonna get knocked down, and I've been knocked down, plenty of times, but continuing to get up, continuing to make it not about me, and understanding that there's a bigger purpose involved in my success and everything that I do, and just being able to provide certain opportunities and things of that nature. So yes, many hurdles, many obstacles on a daily, but how do you respond? How do you deal with those obstacles? It's the resilience, getting back up.
Talking back your book again, for people who don't know, do you want to give like a quick synopsis of like what the book is about and where you can find it at?
Okay, yeah, the book. again is basically it's my story. It's a true story, just in the form of a children's book. And the book is basically talking about uh, overcoming adversity. Growing up in a really rough neighborhood, and being able to navigate through the system, and in spite of your surroundings, and in spite of your socioeconomic situation, like being able to still kind of power through that, and make it out and become successful. And that's really what the book is about. So just overcoming adversity. The book is available on actually on Amazon, so you can go Amazon, The Adventures of Sir Jankster, and actually purchase the book. It's available on the website, sirjankster.com, hardcover books. Um, the uh, the video is online, as far as the PDF and the hip hop version of the story. So you can go on YouTube and just type in The Adventures of Sir Janksters, and rap along with your kids, or rap along with yourself on YouTube. So there's many ways you can access.
All right. Actually, without further ado, because like I know it's already coming to the end. One last question before we end this interview. Do you have anything to say to anybody watching that wants to become like an entrepreneur, or like want to do their own thing, like such as like publish a book like you did, or even like publish albums?
Idioti, either you do it or you do it. Period. Period. Do it. All right. There is one thing though, and I haven't memorized this thing yet, but there was something I had written down. And somebody actually asked me this um, a little while back. Um, Let me see. So there's another. I like acronyms, right? So when you think about moving forward, when you think about pushing through the adversity, when you're trying to start a business, write an album, create a piece of artwork, just make it to the next day, and continue to go on in life. Search is something that I came up with, and search is the acronym for uh, how important it is to be self-determined. Have self-determination. Your E is for endurance. Uh, the A would be for the ability to adapt. The R would be for resilience. And then the C would be utilizing the power of choice. And then also remembering to remain humble would be your H. You know what I mean? So those are some very, I think, important components to overcoming adversity, remaining, persistent and consistent in the things that you do, and just taking pride in what you're doing. And when it's not about the money, and there's a purpose behind it, and there's a passion behind it, things tend to work out. And the money will come, but don't make it about the money. That would be probably my best advice that I can give anybody thinking about doing something.
Yeah, especially the passion. I know we were talking to I think Lucky Joe no, I think it was like the interview before the last one.
Uh,
He was all about saying like it's about your passion. If it's not
yeah,
fun, it's not your job.
indeed, indeed. That's very true. Very true.
Um, Lamar, actually, talking about towards the end of the interview, do you have anywhere that people can go look for you, like social media, website, or anything like that?
Definitely. Everything is at BBQ Jank. And if you're watching this, you see it on my title, you're at BBQ Jank. That's going to be across all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. At BBQ Jank is where you can find me, and then bbqjank.com is the website. So plenty of information, plenty of content. We're always working on new things, and that's where you can find me.
Without further ado, do you have any shout outs before you go?
Shout out to HEB. Shout out to the city 97.7. You know, Cine El Rey. Just the valley in general, man, for welcoming me. 13 years ago now. So again, I'm just humbled, appreciative of the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to continuing to be able to give back to this community, and help and inspire as much as possible.
All right. So, with that being said, because you mentioned Cine El Rey, we are sponsored by the historic Cine El Rey Theater, and we are dedicated to preserving the past for the future. Thank you so much, Lamar, for joining us today. If you guys want to know, well, actually, you guys want to check us out or learn more about what we do on the show, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's going to be RGV Rocks, and Twitter is Rocks RGV. Once again, Facebook and Instagram is RGV Rocks and Twitter is Rocks RGV. Thank you so much, Lamar, for joining us here today on RGV Rocks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And RGV does rock.
Thank you. So, without further ado, I especially want to remind everyone thank you for listening to our humble little show, and we'll be here next time on KCYP 97.7 FMLP, the city. See ya.